Hi everyone, today I will going to talk about Orion Nebula. The Orion Nebula, catalogued as Messier 43, or NGC 1976, is one of the brightest nebula in the sky and one of the nearest star-forming regions to Earth. It is rewarding in telescopes of every size and is perhaps the most studied and photographed object in the sky. Messier 42 is visible to the naked eye as a hazy patch surrounding Zeta Orionis. Zeta is the eighth of the Greek alphabet. The uppercase of Zeta looks like a circle with a horizontal line inside. The lowercase of Zeta looks like a Chinese word, stands for day, also stands for the sun, but it is much rounder than the Chinese word, means day also means the sun. Zeta Orionis is the middle star in the sword of Orion, just south of Orion's belt. The Mayans of Central America had a folk tale which suggests that they knew of Orion Nebula, but despite being visible to the naked eye, the nebula is not mentioned in any known historical records before the invention of the telescope. Neither Ptolemy nor Othufi notes the nebula, even though they both list patches of elsewhere in the night sky. Around 130 AD, Ptolemy catalogued the brightest stars within the nebula as one bright star, as did Tycho Brahe in the late 16th century, and Johann Bayer in 1603, who designed the Zeta Orionis. In 1610s, Galileo detected a number of fine stars when he first looked at this region with his telescope, but he curiously failed to note the nebula as well. Later, in 1617, Galileo took a closer look at the star, Zeta Orionis, and found it to be triple, but again he failed to perceive the nebula. This has led to speculation that its illuminating stars have flared up since that time, increasing the nebula's brightness. The discovery of the Orion Nebula is generally credited to Nicolas Claude Fabre-de Persic, a French lawyer who turned his telescope to this part of the sky in 1610s. His lightning, however, was only reported in his own personal documents and never published. The nebula was found independently in 1611 by the Jesuit astronomer Johann Baptist Cistercius by Lucerne. He was the first to publish notes of it, comparing it to a content the Hatch observed in 1618. The first known drawing of Orion Nebula was created by Giovanni Battista Herdino. All of these discoveries were apparently lost for some time. Eventually, Christian Huygens' Wolf's Gauge was the first to be published. were credited for its discovery in 1655, both by Edmund Halley, who included it in his list of 6 nebulae in 1716, and by Charles Messier, who added it as the 42nd object in the catalogue. Charles Messier first noted the nebula in 1769, along with 3 of its central stars. The nebula's smaller northeastern portion, previously reported as a separate object by Jean Jacques, the Marian by Marian in 1731, was also added by Messier as number 43. Messier 42 and 43 were the first deep sky objects observed by William Herschel, who in 1789 described them as unformed fairy mist, the chaotic material of future suns. The Orion Nebula's gaseous nature was revealed in 1865 with spectroscopy done by William Huygens in 1880s. Henry Draper took the first photograph of the Orion Nebula with an 11-inch refractor, making the first historical instance of deep sky astrophotography. It is very easy to find the Orion Nebula. Messier 42 is visible to the naked eye, and under good conditions, as its faint nebulosity surrounding Zeta Orionis, the middle star in the sword of Orion. Zeta Orionis is an extremely wide binocular double with western components. Zeta First Orionis is the famous trapezium multiple star. Messier 42 is the finest example of a diffuse emission nebula visible to mid-northern hemisphere observers, and is the brightest diffuse nebula in the sky, shining at 4th magnitude. It is also a large object, extending over 1 degree in diameter, and covers more than 4 times as the area of the full moon. Messier 43 is the bright nebulas are to the north, detected from the main body of Messier 42 by a dark line. This dark nebula extends well into Messier 42, forming a feature nicknamed the Fisher's Mouth. The bright regions, both sides, are called the wings. The wing extensions to the southeast is called the sword. The bright nebulosity below the trapezium, the thrust, and the fainter western extensions, the sail. The Orion Nebula contains a very young open cluster at the end of the Fisher's Mouth, known as the trapezium cluster, due to the astrum formed by its 4 primary stars. 2 of these can be resolved into their component binary systems on nights with good seeing, giving a total of 6 stars. In the neighborhood to the north, there are also fainter reflection nebulae, particularly reflecting the light of the Great Nebula. They were not noted by Charles Messier, but were later labeled with the NGC numbers 1973, 1975, and 1977. The Orion Nebula is also one of the easiest and most rewarding targets For amateur astrophotographers, regions of red areas of blue-violet are appearing in long exposure photographs. The red hue is emitted by ionized hydrogen. Um, if you have a look at the photo of Orion Nebula, you're able to think Orion Nebula is pink color. But seriously, if you take a close look to Orion Nebula, it is a reddish nebula. But when we use photographs, it wasn't very clear and easy to see the real color of Orion Nebula. It is a pink color through the cameras that we can see right now. This is why Orion Nebula is my favorite nebula. Of course, the color is my favorite. Pink color is my favorite, so I like Orion Nebula to see from the photo. Okay, Messier 42 is located at a distance of 1350 light years, with an uncertainty of about 2%, and is estimated to Messier is located at a distance of 1350 light years, with an uncertainty of about 2%. And it is 24 light years across. Orion Nebula is very young. The age of Orion Nebula is less than 100,000 years old. Oh yeah, remember we talked about the life cycle of average star and massive star. We really know after the stage of red giant for average star, it will quickly explode to become a nebula. It's like the same process as red supergiants in massive stars to become supernova, but supernova will be larger than nebulas. Well, we have talked a lot massive stars from Orion constellation. We really know how big and how scary they was. But right now, I'm talking about an average star that explode as a planetary nebula. So there are not only massive stars from Orion constellation. There was a few average stars from Orion constellation as well, such as the nebula we're talking about right now, Orion Nebula. Stellar winds emitted by newly formed stars creates shock waves when it encounters gas in the nebulas. This process is complete and turbulent motion shapes in gas clouds leading to gravitational collapse and triggering additional star formation. Eventually, most of the Orion's nebulous gas will be injected. The remaining will form an open cluster, which gradually disperse under the gravitational influence of other stars as it travels around the galaxy. Alright, I hope you guys like my YouTube channel and subscribe my YouTube channel. Bye. Have a nice day.